Hi there. I am Karina Ricks. I'm the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. It looks like we are still having a few people logging on and connecting to the audio. This is a meeting regarding traffic calming on Black Street. And just giving you some information about the traffic calming request that came into us and the proposed plan for mitigation and implementation. This is a project that we are striving to implement yet this year, as the year is rapidly ticking down in terms of construction season. So I want to recognize on the call with us is Katie Sawyer, who's the municipal traffic engineer under the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. I'm Karina Ricks, the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. And leading us in this presentation is Dan Ferrant, who leads our traffic calming program in the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. So Dan, why don't you go ahead?
Good evening, everyone. To start us off, why is traffic calming needed on Black Street and Mossfield Streets? And to answer that, over the past 2 years, DOMI has received numerous complaints, most of them through the 311 system, about Black Street and Mossfield Street. So with these complaints, we've had a variety of different complaints, starting with Black Street. The main complaint there is with speeding. It is a pretty narrow street with parking on both sides. And also with that parking on both sides of the street, there is some visibility issues as well. On the Mossfield Street side, most of the complaints are along the Azure Street intersection. And these have dealt with pedestrian safety, missing crosswalks, and the missing sidewalk on the northern side of Mossfield. Once we received these complaints, we went out, this is September of 2018, and collected traffic data. And this is on Black Street, closer to Chislett Street. The average daily traffic is almost 8,000 vehicles per day. The median speed is 33 miles per hour, and the 85th percentile speed is 36 miles per hour. And basically, 85th percentile speed means that 15% of the cars traveling on Black Street are driving over 36 miles per hour. And the alarming stat here is the overall percentage of motorists driving over the speed limit is 97%. We're going to go to some of the mitigation strategies that we have for these streets. Starting off, we're going to go with pavement marking improvements. We need to better indicate crosswalks and also decrease crossing distance. As most of you know, Mossfield Street is 45 feet wide. So trying to cross that non-crosswalk can be difficult, especially with vehicles kind of cresting, coming from North Aiken, and then also coming from the opposite direction where the speed limit is 35 miles an hour and changes to 25. So this is one of the improvements that we're going to propose is a pedestrian refuge island, and we'll talk about that here shortly. And another strategy is speed humps. We installed speed humps, I think at 12 different locations last year, and saw at all these locations, we saw really good data, as far as, reducing the speeds, the percentage of vehicles speeding, and also the 85th percentile speed. And the good thing about speed humps is, you can have police officers trying to enforce speeds, but with speed humps, they are self-enforcing. We don't need to have police officers out there every single day. So we're going to go over some of the proposed improvements. These are the Mossfield Street pedestrian improvements. At the Shenley Ave intersection, we're going to propose high visibility crosswalk, and also along with this, we'll have new brighter signs, and also I believe one of these ramps is non-ADA compliant now. And then the big improvements will be here at Azure Street. Right now, as you all know, when you're traveling on Mossfield, traveling east, this left turn lane is not really marked. And so pedestrians that are trying to cross Mossfield Street, you know, these vehicles can still technically go straight because this approach lane here is almost 30, I think it's 30 plus feet wide. So what we want to do is get these vehicles that are turning left onto Azure Street, get them in their lane, get them to stay there. We'll install new ADA ramps along Mossfield Street and a new high visibility crosswalk, and we'll have new signs as well. And then we'll also have this pedestrian refuge island where if a pedestrian starts crossing and they notice that, you know, a vehicle traveling east is traveling much faster than they anticipated, there will be a safe area that they can stop at. And then we'll also have flexible delineator posts in this area. And we're also proposing 2 speed humps on Mossfield Street. One will be close to the Azure Street crosswalk, and the second one will be closer to the Fern Street crosswalk. Each of these speed humps will be about 41 feet wide. With all the speed humps that we installed last year, we leave at least 2 feet on the edges, and that will allow for any drainage, just so you don't have, you know, an excess of water building up and in the wintertime, you know, forming ice or, you know, dangerous conditions. And for some of our proposed improvements along Black Street, so this is between Negley Ave and Chislett Street. We're proposing to install 2 new speed humps with pavement markings. And one comment on the speed humps, you know, I've been out on Black Street several times and I've noticed that on-street parking is typically pretty busy. There's at least, I would say, 75+% of the street is parked on. So these will not reduce on-street parking. You are allowed to park on speed humps. Another concern has been the visibility turning off of Aiken onto Black Street. And so we're proposing painted bump outs at those intersections to allow drivers to pull out and then see a little better as vehicles are traveling westbound on Black Street going up the hill where there is not a stop sign. And unfortunately, this section between North Aiken and Chislett is over 8% grade. I believe it's around 10 to 12%. And we just feel that this is a little too dangerous to install speed humps on this section. We don't want, you know, vehicles driving downhill, hitting these at you know, a higher rate of speed. So, but we are proposing these painted bump outs, and hopefully that will allow vehicles that are turning off of Aiken a little safer view to turn left or right. So, and that's it.
Great. Thanks, Dan. So you hopefully can see the participants that are here in the room. We're a small and tidy group. So I think we can just take questions. If anyone has them, I guess I would ask that you introduce yourself, maybe give some information about where you live or your role as a stakeholder. in this project, I want to recognize Marita Bradley here from Reverend Burgito's office. So we thank the councilman for being here. There is not a
Director, he's on too as well. Rev is on.
Great. Thank you. So Reverend Burgess is here as well. Wonderful. Do you want to say anything before I give a little bit more about how we can proceed with the meeting, Reverend or Marita?
No, I'm good. You know, I have great confidence in you and in your department. I'm just here to be supportive and, you know, help if the residents have problems or issues to figure out a way that we can come to some agreement on how to move forward.
Great. Wonderful. There's not a chat. If you want to write any comments to us, Dan, Katie, and I all have the email address that you can reach out to. It's trafficcalming@pittsburghpa.gov. If you prefer to comment in writing, you can always find us there. But with that, we'll open it up. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi. Hi, my name is Renee Robinson, and I am a resident on Black Street at 5480 Black Street, and also a long time East Side. I've lived on this side of town for all my life. So I'm happy that we are definitely talking about this. This is very important. The street on Black Street is extremely traffic heavy, as it was mentioned. And I'm just curious to know when this is like supposed to get started, or when are you all proposing for like your timeline?
Great, thanks. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
We're hoping, early November. Right now, we're installing speed humps. We have a couple locations this year. This week, we are going to be in the South Side Slopes, and next week we'll be in Carrick. And so we're hoping either potentially the last week of October. Just right now, it's all weather dependent. We've already had 2 rainouts this week, and looking at the forecast for next week, it looks pretty bad. So, if we get a dry day, hopefully we'll be out there, installing them somewhere. So, but they will be this year.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns?
Hi, Patrick Lanigan. I'm actually live just a couple houses down from Renee. We're right in the middle between Chislett and Negley. So just had a couple questions about the bump outs. First, like Renee said, this is all great. Fully support this whole plan. I think it's really needed. So part one of the bump outs, is there any maybe future plan if they work out well, or maybe if they're not working well enough, whatever, to move from painted bump outs to physical bump outs, extensions of the sidewalk? And is there still enough wiggle room in this plan to suggest another location for bump outs? Specifically, I'm looking at the corner of Samoan Way, that alley in Black Street. Cars park really close to that alley and makes visibility a challenge there too.
I'll let Dan answer about the additional location. On the going from paint to concrete, it is possible. It is a greater expense to do that, but really one of the biggest issues is drainage, needing to handle drainage when we change the curb line. So that's why we generally go, the paint is quicker for us to do, but we wouldn't necessarily preclude it, particularly if we were to do a larger capital improvement project on the street. But it is the drainage that generally kind of holds us back on this. Dan, do you want to
chime in on? I'm assuming you're talking about Samantha Way off of Samoa.
Sorry, yeah. Well, if you want to pull that slide back up. Well, I guess I can't annotate, but
here. Do you want me to share my video? I have Google Street View open right now.
Sure. Yeah, Samantha. Did I say? Yeah, Samantha, right there.
I think, Samoa Way is like right behind it. Yeah.
Yes, Samoan's the other one. So where that blue car is there, People usually park like behind it, right
Yeah.
up to the corner. There'll be vans and whatnot, and it just, it makes cars, when you're making a left out of there, cars coming down that street, it gets to be sketchy.
As Director Ricks had mentioned, with in regards to concrete bump outs, you can see right here at this corner, there's definitely a drainage issue.
Yeah, I can see that now. I never thought about that. That's a great point. Yeah.
But yeah, we can, especially since this is so close to the signalized intersection up here. The couple times that I've been out here, you can definitely notice that the queue of Black Street is at least back to Samantha Way. So that's a pretty good suggestion. I don't see why we couldn't include something on that side. And then this is painted here. Is that something that you've noticed that cars have parked there, or is it more just in front of that blue car?
Yeah, it's just more behind that blue car is where I notice it mostly. Yep.
Yeah, we can probably accommodate that easily.
Yeah, this is Katie, and I would say also we could, at the very least, I think on that other side there behind the blue car, we can sign the no parking area, the area that cars should not be parking, and also paint the curb, which oftentimes will deter people and make it a little more apparent that they shouldn't be parking there. And the good thing about that is that the paint on the asphalt will eventually wear away and people will stop paying attention to it, but the signage will stay. So we can definitely at least get that done for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And this is Renee again. I have another question about, and there might already be, but like coming up to Black Street to North Aiken, is there like a sign that says, I don't know, you don't have to stop, or like, I don't know what the appropriate sign would be, but it just, sometimes people stop there, or like, there's a lot of confusion where it's like, people don't really know. If you don't travel on that a lot, you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, Renee, I know exactly. There's no stop sign there, and it throws.
Yeah, I know there's not a stop sign, but people stop. There's no stop sign. People stop. So I'm just wondering, is there like signage? And like I said, I mean, because I traveled all the time, I kind of like know, but I wasn't sure. Like if you don't travel somewhere, you probably don't pay attention to stuff. So I wasn't sure if there was something that says like, I don't know, 4-way intersection, keep going. Like, I don't know.
This is Marita. This is Marita. I live up that way. So coming up Black Street from Negley, it's like a 3-way stop. So if you're going to turn left, there are signs that says
you have the right or something.
Yeah. And then on coming down, what is that, Aiken? It says opposing traffic doesn't stop. So it's awkward because it's like a 4-way intersection, but only 3 people have to stop. So it is confusing.
Right. I know. I mean, like I said, I know there's no stop sign, and I don't really know. Like, I don't really think that there should be per se a stop sign there. I don't really know, to be honest with you. This is not my department. But maybe it would help. I don't know if you can stop on that hill and like, then the people from North Aiken, because my grandmother lives on North Aiken, so I have to like make a left, which then, like you said, the visibility, I can't see what's happening if there's cars parked on the street. I can't see who's coming up if I'm trying to make a left.
Right. Well, Renee, it is literally our department.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm just joking. So maybe Dan and Katie, can you take a look at that intersection, or do you have thoughts about it now?
Dan, do you want to go, or do you want me to take this one?
So when I was out there, I actually stopped at this intersection just because I wasn't very familiar with it.
Really short, right? If you're not familiar, people stop.
So Katie and I have discussed this, and we actually deferred to someone that previously worked with the city that was familiar with this intersection. And because of the grade on Black Street heading up is the reason that there's not a stop sign. If there were icy conditions, it would be incredibly difficult to stop on that and then start going. So that's the reason that it is a three-way stop. As far as getting some kind of sign installed there, I've been in traffic engineering for 13 plus years and nothing is coming to mind. But we could definitely do a little research and see if we can find something that may be helpful for that approach.
Yeah, I'd also add that if there wasn't that unique grade at this intersection or the challenging grade, really the appropriate stop control here would be for North Aiken, since Black Street and heading into Mossfield is the primary street. Really the suitable control here would be to stop the side streets and they would find, space to go in between traffic. My guess here is that historically at some point in the past, someone was concerned about speeding on Black Street. And so they requested that a stop sign be installed and making it a four-way stop because oftentimes people associate stop signs with traffic calming. Unfortunately, research doesn't back that up. You stop vehicles, they tend to accelerate in between stop signs. But so because of that grade, it then became a three-way stop instead of a four-way stop. I think it's entirely possible to remove the stop sign on Mossfield. And so that way it's just minor street stop controlled. We just have a hard time removing stop signs like that. So if it's something that the council office thinks we may be able to explore, especially since we are starting to traffic calm further down towards Negley, and maybe that desire to stop traffic before they go down the hill isn't maybe as necessary, maybe it does make sense to remove that stop sign. And that way it's more of an intuitive intersection for all users, rather than approaching intersection, seeing opposing traffic stop and assuming that you also need to stop for them. So yeah, I agree. It's confusing.
This is Marita. I have another question. So and you may have, I jumped on late, so you may have already addressed this. How do with Black being as steep as it is, how will the speed bumps affect getting up the hill, like in the snow? Because that street is awful in the snow, specifically in the snow during traffic, like rush hour. Does it make it more difficult to get up the hill or not?
So with the speed humps, we are only proposing to install between Chislett and North Negley Ave, between North Aiken and Chislett Street, which is the sloped section. We are not proposing any speed humps on that section of Black Street.
Oh, okay.
So the closest one will be about, I want to say 200 feet from Chislett Street, maybe a little less, to the east of Chislett on Black Street.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's the exact reason why we didn't try to put speed humps in that section, is because of the grade and the concern of motorists in adverse conditions losing control or not being able to climb the hill.
I have another question while we're talking about things in my neighborhood. I have a question about Colombo. So at Negley and Colombo, it's one way, but then I think it used to be one way all the way up to Aiken, but now at some point it looks like it's two way. Is there a plan to make the whole street two way?
I'm sorry, are you talking?
Colombo Street in front of ECS, the new environmental charter school.
So I have been out there with the charter school before. Oh, my Street View is doing this thing where it puts me on a different Colombo Street in a different city. That was a new thing that started happening this week. So I don't think it's two. And are you asking, are we considering making it two-way?
Well, it looks like a portion of it from Aiken down to Negley, it used to be all one way. Now, I don't know if it's because of the school, a portion of it, at some point it turns into two-way.
Oh, between, it looks like Fairmount and Colombo. I am actually not sure of the history behind that one. We would have to look into that.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah. If you could email that question to the traffic calming email address, we can research that and get back to you on it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
So just curiosity, are you wanting Colombo Street to be two-way from Negley to Fairmont?
So I don't have a preference. I guess what
Okay.
I live at the top of that hill, and for years it had always been one way, and then all of a sudden it wasn't a portion of it. And I don't know if it might have been the school, but I just didn't know
Gotcha.
what was going on.
Yeah, just looking at it, I would say due to how close it is at that signalized intersection, they probably didn't want vehicles turning left off of Colombo onto North Negley, crossing 3 lanes of traffic, because there's that left turn lane on North Negley.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, because it is, sorry, it's less than 200 feet from Black Street. So
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Similar to Marita, which since we're on the topic of our neighborhood, so when school starts back again, if that happens, and this may not be something you guys can control, but Maria and Reverend Burgess, you're on the call, but maybe getting a safety patrol on the top of Black Street in North Aiken when children start catching the bus and being there and trying to cross. I've seen children, it looks really, really terrifying trying to watch them cross that street.
Yeah, I could see that, especially with the confusing stop signs and the poor sight distance with the hill.
They just run, hold each other's hands and run. It looks like they're praying.
Yeah, that is not specifically our department, but we can look into that request.
Yeah, we can take that to the Department of Public Safety and see. That's where the crossing guards are with that department. Any other questions about Black Street? Well, we can talk about the neighborhood too, but about Black Street and Mossfield. So we can, again, the point of the purpose of this meeting was to just kind of check in with the neighborhood before we send this on to construction, but we do want to get this done this year during our construction season, which we're in October now, kind of after mid-November, it gets a little dicey for us to construct things. So checking in on any questions or concerns around that, and then we can continue to keep working with you all on other neighborhood improvements.
Great, just let us know how we can be supportive.
Hey all, I tuned in a little bit late here, and I was wondering if this PowerPoint would be posted anywhere, and if what's the best way to maybe send along some feedback afterwards, or just pass it along to others who might not have been able to join in here.
The whole presentation will be on YouTube. So you all are live on YouTube right now, if you want to go back and relive it. So that's possible. We can put the presentation, or at least the salient facts of the project, Dan, on the DOMI traffic calming website without your lovely narrative, but at least putting the presentation up there so that you can see the plans. And then for any questions or comments, you can email trafficcalming@pittsburghpa.gov. and that will get to Dan or others on the project team.
Lauren, I did see your email. I will send you the YouTube video whenever it's available.
Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
it seems like this conversation is more focused on Blackstreet, but is there plans to talk more about Mossfield or other connecting roads in the future?
So this is, Dan, do you want to talk about the project limit? So this is Blackstreet and a portion of Mossfield.
Yes, here, let me share my screen here real quick for you, Lauren. So our limits basically run from Blackstreet at North Negley up to Shenley Ave at Mossfield. And so we're proposing, just quick review, crosswalk improvements at Shenley, crosswalk improvements at Azure Street, speed humps on Mossfield near Fern, and then another near Azure Street, and then 2 speed humps on Black Street, 1 near Chislett and 1 closer to Samantha Way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
10-second review.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I would also add the larger portion of Mossfield heading kind of towards the Bloomfield Garfield area. That is on our bike plan, our bike network plan, as a future improvement. So I envision that, something is going to happen on that other portion of Mossfield in the future. So we're just not at that stage yet, but
Okay.
yeah, I know that is an important bike connection. And so with that also comes the need to traffic calm, because it does kind of act as a highway to jump between neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to see that happen. Thank you all.
My name is Lori Horowitz. I also live on Black Street between Chislett and Negley, and I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say this is all great and lend my support and just mark me off as a yes for this. So thank you all for your work.
Great. Thank you for that. Anything else specifically on the project, the data, the findings, anything? Dan, as usual, he does a great job kind of, finding those countermeasures that are reasonable, prudent, and effective on streets like this. So thank you, Dan, for your work, and Katie for your leadership on it. Great. Well, if Dan is shivering in the cold as he's out there getting these built for you, say some kind words to him with your mask on, through your mask, at least 6 feet away from him. Anything else?
I'll take the cold over the 100-degree heat that we had when we were installing Grandview.
with masks on.
Yeah.
I could appreciate that.
Yeah, over hot asphalt.
So, Reverend, anything you want to close with? Or I don't want to cut this short. Any other questions anyone else wants to raise?
I don't have anything to say other than I appreciate the meeting. I appreciate your leadership, and I'm here to be supportive again of your work moving forward.
We always appreciate that. Thank you also for your partnership always. Okay, well, any follow-up questions, feel free again to email trafficcalming@pittsburghpa.gov. And hearing nothing else, we can move to adjourn. Have a great evening, and thanks all for your participation. Thanks, Dan, again.